ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
The former police officer believed to be one of California's most notorious serial killers, the Golden State Killer, may escape the death penalty. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Joseph DEANGELO is expected to plead guilty to nearly 90 charges, including dozens of rapes and 13 murders. DEANGELO is accused of crimes that extend from 1973 through 1986 in more than a dozen California counties. According to the Sacramento Bee, he will avoid the death penalty by pleading guilty at a hearing on June 29th. DEANGELO would be sentenced in August.
California's sanctuary laws endure a major legal challenge. The Supreme Court deciding not to accept a challenge to the laws passed in 2017. ABC 10 News reporter Anthony PURA spoke to a human rights advocate who calls it a major victory.
Many human rights advocates called the challenge to the sanctuary law frivolous from the start. They say this outcome now proves it. The Supreme Court on Monday deciding not to accept a challenge to California's immigrant sanctuary law. It was passed in 2017 and limited how local and state law enforcement can cooperate with federal immigration authorities, including prohibiting them from notifying federal immigration when they arrest an undocumented immigrant. There are exceptions for serious and violent crimes. In 2018, the president and his administration sued California over the laws. Human rights advocate Pedro Rios is with the American Friends Service Committee. He says he is pleased the Supreme Court decided not to review the lawsuit, leaving in place the decision by lower court rulings that upheld the law.
It sends a clear message to other states in the United States that they also could pursue this type of legislation and be supported by the Supreme Court, that they can take measures that will protect everyone in their community, including undocumented members of their community.
California's Attorney General Javier Becerra released a statement that said in part the Trump administration does not have the authority to commandeer state resources. We're heartened by today's Supreme Court decision. The San Diego County Sheriff's Office told ABC 10 News their agency is in full compliance with California's laws, releasing a statement that says in part, we do not enforce immigration laws. We prioritize community relationships and want all residents to feel safe when reporting crimes or coming forward as a witness to criminal acts. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
3 New York police officers are in the hospital tonight after drinking milkshakes believed to have been poisoned with bleach. This is according to the New York Police Department Police Union. This happened at a Manhattan Shake Shack tonight. The officers were assigned to a protest detail in that area. The Detectives Endowment Association tweeted that the officers were intentionally poisoned. They are expected to make a full recovery. Our sister station in New York reports that more than 350 officers have been injured during ongoing protests in the city. They include one officer being hit by an SUV, another officer hit in the head with a fire extinguisher as well. People have also thrown bricks, stones, and glass bottles at police, knocking several officers' teeth out. Shake Shack says it is horrified by these reports. An investigation is now underway.
A coaster train hit and killed a pedestrian in Carlsbad. It happened this afternoon at the Carlsbad Village train station on State Street. The pedestrian died at the scene. It's not clear why the person was on the tracks. Northbound and southbound coaster service was suspended for hours. The victim's name has not yet been released.
Turning now to the coronavirus pandemic, there are growing concerns about overcrowding seen in the gas lamp this weekend. The owners of the Tivoli Bar and Grill, they were worried, especially after restrictions weren't always followed when bars in that area reopened Friday night.
Oh God, yes. It was terrible because when they do that, they're not only reflecting on us, but also putting up the potential for shutdown.
Assemblymember Todd Gloria suggests closing down Fifth Avenue to give people more space. And today, a spokesman for the mayor confirmed the Gaslamp Quarter Association did submit an application to close Fifth Avenue between G and K Streets Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. If approved, the closure could be in place by this Thursday night. And county leaders are warning San Diegans not to let their guard down when it comes to the coronavirus. Today, they urged everyone to keep wearing facial coverings, social distance, and wash your hands.
As we have discussed repeatedly, our reopenings have only occurred because our discipline in following these protocols has been successful. We are monitoring our health data for information that could trigger a pause in our reopenings or other measures to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. We don't want to do that. You don't want us to do that. So let's not let it happen.
County leaders also announced that more businesses can reopen Friday if they have taken the proper precautions. Those include personal care, nail salons, tattoo parlors, and massage therapy. And here are the latest local coronavirus numbers. The county reported 170 new cases today. That brings the total now to over 9,600. There was one more death, bringing that total to 320.
An historic ruling handed down from the U.S. Supreme Court. It expanded the 1964 Civil Rights Act to include LGBTQ people. ABC's Inez de la Catera has more on the decision that protects them from workplace discrimination.
It's being hailed as the most consequential Supreme Court decision since same-sex marriage was legalized 5 years ago. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling today that LGBT Americans are covered by the same anti-discrimination laws that protect their heterosexual colleagues in the workplace, meaning they cannot be fired or discriminated against simply because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Individuals involved in the case include Gerald Bostock, a child welfare services coordinator in Georgia, who says he was fired after he joined a gay softball league. Donald Zarda, a skydiving instructor who was fired after telling a customer he was gay. And Amy Stevens, a transgender woman who lost her job as a funeral director after she revealed her plan to transition.
I'm overwhelmed with joy, and my heart is filled with gratitude to the justices, to my wonderful legal team, my great family and circle of friends, my partner, and all those great organizations that have been by my side.
The landmark ruling was a 6-3 decision, with the court's 4 liberal justices being joined by conservative Chief Justice John Roberts and the majority opinion written by another conservative, Neil Gorsuch. Gorsuch citing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was meant to address the problems of race and gender discrimination, writing, "Only the written word is the law, and all persons are entitled to its benefits."
No, they've ruled. I've read the decision, and some people were surprised, but they've ruled, and we live with their decision. That's what it's all about. We live with the decision of the Supreme Court.
Meanwhile, an attorney for the funeral home that employed Amy Stevens called the decision disappointing, writing in a statement that redefining sex to mean gender identity would create chaos and unfairness for women and girls in athletics, women's shelters, and many other contexts. Inez de la Catera, ABC News, Washington.
Because they're not just hurting a business, a store, a company, they're also hurting a family.
A National City family is wondering if they were targeted after their formal clothing store business was broken into overnight. The burglary left behind thousands of dollars in damage. ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo spoke with the owners, who say they were already struggling because of COVID-19.
The family tells me they had surveillance cameras and insurance, but in April, they say they canceled those services to cut some expenses during the pandemic, a move they are now regretting. This is how the owners of Divas Fashion 2 found their business storefront Monday morning. A large broken window, glass shattered on the ground, and at least one designer dress gone.
So they stole the whole mannequin with the designer quinceañera dress on. It was a rose gold quinceañera dress.
Dulce Tablas and her mom Elia Pliego and their family own the business. They say their window replacement is over $2,000. The dress and the mannequin combined worth over $1,000.
Everything is family business owned, and we have worked very hard.
The family owns a second clothing store and banquet hall in National City. Today was the day they were permanently closing one of the clothing stores, not able to stay afloat during the COVID-19 pandemic. They woke up to find the location that was staying open had been broken into.
We're very sad because now we have to pay for the repairs and for what they stole as well, because they also stole merchandise.
The family is wondering if they were targeted. Just last week, during the Black Lives Matter protests, they painted the phrase on their windows. This morning, Dulce noticed the phrase had an X through it.
We don't know really who it was. We have no clue. But we assumed that maybe it was someone that got mad that we put that.
The family says they reported the break-in to National City Police and have a message for whoever did this.
And not vandalized because they're not just hurting a business, a store, a company. They're also hurting a family because it hurts us.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
We did reach out to National City PD about the break-in. We have not yet heard back. The family now has a Facebook fundraiser to help pay for the repairs, and you can find that on our website, 10news.com.